and then I ended up enlisting in the Navy. I was 19 at the time, enlisted in the Navy and went away to Great Lakes Naval Training Station for my basic. Went to Norfolk, Virginia for my schooling to be a clerk typist, and then was shipped overseas by plane to Hawaii, where I spent 2.5 years. I was in the Navy better than 3 years and never been aboard ship, so I put in for ship transfer, and I got one. So then I went to Seattle, Washington to help put the USS Baltimore into commission one winter. And after we started out in the spring with the ship in commission, we went down the west coast, stopping at every port along the way, up to through the Panama Canal, then up to through Puerto Rico, Bermuda, Cuba. Spent 6 weeks in Cuba, back before Castro was there. Then up to Boston. Then my ship went to the Mediterranean, and I didn't have enough time left in the service to go with it. So I stayed at Newport, Rhode Island, got another ship, and went back down to Cuba again for 3 or 4 weeks.
How was Cuba? How was Cuba compared to today?
Oh, it's nice down there then when Batista was there. Beautiful country Cuba is, and we were stationed at Guantanamo Bay down the south side, and we got liberty in Havana, and beautiful climate, beautiful weather. And after we left there, I came back to, I think it was Newport, Rhode Island. I was about ready to be discharged. So then I was discharged there and rode my motorcycle home back to Southern Illinois. One other thing.
It in Hawaii?
Yeah, going back a couple years, or a year or so, just about a year, I bought the motorcycle while I was stationed in Honolulu and rode it out there for a while and had it shipped back to Los Angeles, rather. And I was shipped back to San Diego. I hitchhiked up to Los Angeles, got my motorcycle and rode it home back to Southern Illinois across Old 66, 2,400 miles, and that was the way I got home on my leave before I put the ship in commission up in Seattle. Then I went back to, left my motorcycle at home in Illinois because it was coming on winter, took a bus back to San Francisco, and after that, spending 2 or 3 weeks in San Francisco, my orders were to go to Seattle to put the ship in commission, and I rode in a new car with a buddy of mine up Route 5 all the way up the coast and in California through Oregon and Washington, put the ship in commission. And as I was coming around through the canal to Boston, I had my motorcycle shipped then to Boston to pick it up while there I was in the Boston Naval Shipyard. So while I was awaiting discharge, I took quite a few trips on my motorcycle. One was to Portland, Maine, and then of course I rode it home from there on my discharge.
They had the Pennsylvania Turnpike then?
Yes. On the trip from California to Illinois, I had Old 66 all the way, which was mostly a 2-lane highway through every small town there was, and that was quite an experience. But then when I got stationed on the East Coast, I had better roads. I would leave Effingham, Illinois on 40 and go out toward Columbus through Indianapolis, and then I would get on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. And I would take the Turnpike then to a New Jersey Turnpike and on up into the Merritt Parkway in New York, up into Boston, Massachusetts. So we had real good roads out east like that. I could run 100, 110 mile an hour with no problem. Back in those days, they had very few, states had very few speed limits. they didn't put a speed limit in Illinois till in the late 50s, and so you could run at any speed you wanted to. And we used to do the very same thing.
Do they make motorcycles that'll go 110 miles an hour
By all-
today?
Oh yes, by all means.
Maybe there's a price tag.
The old ones would run just as fast as the new ones too.
Hmm.
I used to run that old Harley I had on that trip 120 many times. They'll run that fast today, but I don't run them that
And you
fast.
didn't have a helmet.
No helmet laws. I had a buddy one time that got on a Harley Davidson from California, and he run it wide open to southern Illinois. He made the trip in 24 hours flat, 2,400 mile, and his chain broke at one time and cut his kidney belt in two. That saved his life, because he had the bike all stripped down, didn't even have a chain guard on it.
But you need to